Hey everyone, I'm Braden Cruz, your host with Sooner Marketing Solutions, and my job is to figure out ways to get you attention.
Abel Rodriguez with ARC Outdoorsman, where we are creating and maintaining your outdoor living.
Chance Jones with Threaded Industries, where we are a clothing brand built upon giving back.
Welcome back to Brews Business. I'm your host, Braden Cruz, streaming live at the Blue Studio here at Sooner Marketing Solutions. I have with my guests, on top of Tim Anderson, we have Chance and Abel. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good, man.
Doing well.
Doing good. Glad to have you guys back again. And Tim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful.
Awesome. Today's podcast is about Behind the Dough with an insider's look behind Hideaway Pizza. And Hideaway Pizza was founded in 1957, I believe, out in Stillwater.
Yes, that's correct.
Man, it's got quite the history here in the state of Oklahoma, and it's branched out to a handful of other surrounding states as well too. It's quite the growing business.
Yes, we currently have 22 locations, 18 in Oklahoma, 4 in Arkansas, and we'll be in Texas later this year.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about like your history, how you got into it, and what you're doing nowadays.
So I'm CFO for Hideaway Pizza. I originally graduated from Oklahoma State University with a bachelor's in accounting. So I started off in the corporate world. So worked for some oil and gas industries. Then I ventured on my own and started my own tax practice in Pryor, Oklahoma. And then was hired, sold my practice, and then was hired by Hideaway Pizza as their controller. And I've kind of worked my way through the ranks to CFO.
That's exciting. It's very exciting. So do you, how long have you been in the position with Hideaway?
I was hired in June 2005.
2005.
So I'm getting ready to enter my 18th year with them.
And that's exciting. And you transitioned into, how'd you get into the CFO position?
So originally they hired me as their controller. They did have a CFO. He retired at the time, and I was promoted into the open position. I'd like to think my qualifications and intelligence helped me get to that level.
Have been sufficient, right?
Have been sufficient, for sure. I have been lucky to a certain degree to be able to find myself working for a growing company. And for me, I'm kind of an entrepreneurial type spirit, so I get to do it's kind of multifaceted for me. So not only does the accounting department report to me, but human resources and information technology also reports to me as well. So I'm pretty much responsible for everything other than the operational side of the business.
Nice. So you have a lot of experience between some small business and all the way up to the enterprise level.
Correct.
How do you switch your decision-making skills or like your day-to-day thoughts between managing something, or working with small businesses, and then again coming back and working with like enterprise, like on your total 18 years of history, right? Like you've worked in a variety.
Yes, I have. When you're operating a small business, you are responsible for, a lot of different job functions within the business. Mm-hmm. You don't have a whole lot of people to lean on. The hours are definitely longer, I think, and more stressful. As you start to work through, at the time when I was hired with Hideaway, they only had 7 locations, and now we've built up to 15. So during that period of time when I first was hired, it was still kind of a small business feel, still a lot of, I remember being involved in security camera installations at our restaurants and stuff, and having to oversee that, on a after hours project, to now where I've been able to help build the staff, increase the number of employees we have within the business office setting, and helping them try to grow professionally. I'm pretty happy. I've had 2 individuals in the accounting department that are currently CFOs of other restaurant, one in a restaurant entity, another in the fabric industry. So I've been happy with that. But going from a small business to an enterprise business, you're really focused on building your foundation. I always like to try to hire people smarter than me, and it makes my life a lot easier.
There's that saying that you never want to be the smartest person in the room because you'll never learn anything.
Exactly.
Right. And how are you expected to grow yourself or your team if you're constantly the one teaching everyone else instead of bringing on people to where you can find your weaknesses, find their strengths, fill in those gaps.
Exactly.
Right. And then just continue multiplying that as you grow. Right.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for me, I've always been, one of my top priorities is to make sure we train and develop the staff. So, if they're accountants, getting them in continuing education within the accounting industry. In fact, I was in Phoenix this last week for HR and hospitality. We have an individual that's fairly new to the HR industry, so I wanted to make sure she was able to network with other HR leaders in the hospitality industry. So to me, that's extremely important that you continue to develop and train your staff.
We were talking a little bit about how you were working on the training processes. I think it was last year. Was it about a year and a half ago? Mm-hmm. How is that going?
It's going really well. We actually brought in an outside consultant to help us develop our training program. In the past, historically, we average about one new restaurant location a year. Next year, we have a goal of opening 3 to 4. Nice. So we really need to, so we're using this year to refine our training program and be able to allow us the opportunity to open more locations. We're going to have a dedicated training team that we really haven't had before. So,
is this training for like cooks, chefs, to like hosts and servers, to like management and general managers, like the whole shebang?
Yes, yeah. So from hourly to salary is who would be involved in the training program. So when we open a new location, we need to make sure our front of house is trained and ready to support the guests. We need to make sure our back of house has been trained. Our menu is somewhat complex. When you have 30 plus pizzas, trying to remember every topping on every specialty pizza is not the easiest thing. And on top of peak time when people want their pizza right now.
Because when people come into a restaurant, they're hungry. Yeah. They're ready to order and they don't want to wait 45 minutes for a pizza.
No, they don't want to wait for you to start training the staff at that point.
You're a little late.
Yeah. But, and then we do train our managers. Usually on a new store opening, we'll actually have our management team train at a existing location. So that way, when we do go live, they've already kind of been developed in the Hideaway way.
What's been the biggest hurdle with that, the whole training process? Like, what's been the hardest thing? Like, I assume like execution, because like writing out the instructions could be one thing, but then getting everyone on board.
Trying to, training can be dry and boring. So trying to make it interactive. I think, especially on our new store openings, have done a great job of making it interactive for our employees. One employee will be the server, the other employee will be the guest, and we'll go back and forth on that
good old role play.
Yeah. Yes, good old role play. We're putting a little more emphasis, I think, on the digital side of training, because not only do you need training for new store openings, but in the restaurant industry, you have 150% turnover, meaning pretty much your whole entire staff turns over before the end of the year. So you need to have that continual training program in place as well. Right now, it's a little on the dry side, I think. A lot of printed documents where we're trying to get that more digitized and bring in some quizzes and stuff, but on iPad videos on iPad.
I've seen some companies do like training videos on like how to like make something, and then there's like a company mobile app where certain team members have certain accesses to folders or videos or whatever assets to where they can just be like, oh, how do I do this? And then they pull it up on their phone, do a quick search, and they're, oh, that's how I make that. Okay, watch the video for a minute and a half. And
and that's the direction we're going. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So how do you believe, or what do you believe that sets Hideaway Pizza apart from other pizza chains? And how has the company maintained its unique identity?
The original founder, his name was Richard Dermer. The Stillwater location was at the time used VW bugs for their delivery. And Richard Dermer himself was an avid kite flyer. So when you go to our restaurants, you'll see a lot of tie-dye theme. That's why we hang kites from the ceilings. You'll see some VW bugs.
That's why that's kind of the theme.
Yes.
Have you ever been to the one in Stillwater?
Not in Stillwater, no.
Yeah.
Is it the best one?
I like it. I mean, but I was up there for 4 years, so.
Okay, yeah fair enough.
Yeah. And so Stillwater, helps us with our cult following. The alumni returns with their, with their children.
At every location, everybody just kind of funnels in.
Stillwater's like, where do you guys want to go for food tonight? It's like, okay, we're going to go to Eskimo Joe's or Hideaway. That's the only option.
Really?
Yes, it is.
Like all the other places are like, yeah.
Those were like the two places I always went to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we try to keep kind of the eccentric feel of Hideaway. We try not to make it, even though we had 22 locations, too corporate feeling or anything like that. You probably, if you've been in multiple of our locations, none of them really look the same.
They're all a little different.
They're all a little different, and so we
But
try
it keeps
to
the theme through the whole.
Yeah, the preparation of the food and stuff, we definitely want standardized. From a theme perspective, we definitely always want to try to use the kites and the VW bugs, the tie-dyes from that standpoint.
Pictures of everybody on the wall wearing the Hideaway shirts. It looks really nice. I like it.
So, like, the more the things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, people come back to Hideaway for the quality of the food. We feel like the taste profile of our pizzas can compete with any of the pizzerias or chain pizza restaurants out there. You're not going to find too many that will overtop their pizzas like we do. And we, even though you're paying for that on the menu as far as that's priced into it, we do heavy training in our kitchens that we do not want to undertop. Most back of house, if they come from other restaurants, I always talk to skimp, and that is you actually get penalized. Our management teams get penalized if they're underusing toppings.
Nice.
Extra toppings.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I like my the pizzas that are like meaty and they have like a lot of toppings.
Yes.
I'm not a big like red sauce fan.
Okay.
It's just my opinion.
You go for Alfredo or?
I do like the Alfredo, but
You don't like heavy red sauce.
right. So there's some pizzas where it's like just too much red sauce and not enough cheese or not enough toppings. Like I think Hideaway does a perfect combination of it all. Right.
I agree.
And how do you think, has pizza changed since 1957? Do you maybe this is just one way to put it. It's just some bread and cheese, right? And no, it doesn't change. Pizza's kind of been the same, but has it changed at all in Hideaways? Like the different styles or the way that customers are like, oh, I want these options. And now you add that to the menu. You know what I mean? Like, is there different, does that change?
Slightly. We have what we call the 1957 crust and then the thin crust. So we actually added a crust to the mix where, in Stillwater, it was just the one type of crust. I think just the pizza industry in general, I think it's it has changed quite a bit. Most like your Pizza Huts and stuff went strictly to delivery mode. They kind of cheapened their product to try to compete, I think, with Domino's and them. And what we have found is there's a open space in the casual dining market for a good pizzeria. They all kind of try to do the fast food, quick service route for pizza, and cheapened the quality of their product. And so I do think it has changed because of that. Back in the 70s and 80s, there was a lot of pizzerias you were dining in, where today, when you think of the larger competitors, they're all more of a delivery type concept. So your Pizza Huts, your Domino's, your Papa John's are all delivery. And
Yeah.
they kind of left open the space of casual dining. And that's what we're trying to do, is kind of backfill that space.
And you guys compete more on the quality side of it, because I've heard that you can only compete on price, quality, or convenience, but you can't be all three.
Correct. So we've chosen to go towards the quality. You're not, we don't do a lot of discounting. So whenever we do,
Bed Bath & Beyond coupons, no 20% like that every week in the mail.
we don't do any of that.
Business?
I heard that was one of the things that caused them to go out of business.
Because of all the discounts.
And that's the only reason why someone would shop at Bed Bath & Beyond, was because of
If
they
they
wouldn't
got a
go
coupon.
unless they got the coupon.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to be careful, because when you start discounting, that then becomes your regular price. I've been in retail a long time as well, and Macy's. So what happened with Macy's is, they used to, sell everything retail price, and then they started doing their red apple sales, and started heavily discounting to the point where the only time they ever got business was when they had sales.
Had a sale.
Right.
And nowadays, every day is a red apple sale at Macy's, it seems like. So, we want to be careful at Hideaway Pizza that we don't discount to the point where, where people think the discount price is the retail price.
Well, and honestly, I kind of, now that I'm hearing it, it's a brand entity, essentially. You're not going to get the best prices, but we are going to try to get you the best pizza. So when someone comes to you, like you said, they've essentially opened up this market for you guys, right?
Yes.
Of good, proper dining of a pizza. When you think of Hideaway, you guys aren't trying to compete with the delivery. You're not trying to compete with the price, but you mentioned earlier how, yes, your toppings, you overtop your pizza, right? But it's kind of built into the pricing. Well, to someone who wants that pizza, they're going to pay that price because they don't want that skin pizza that just came, that came from Pizza Hut, Domino's, or whatever. So I think that's builds into the brand of we're not cutting ourselves short, essentially.
Yeah, we had some customer feedback, and one thing that stood out to us was whenever the employer goes out and caters food for their employees, that they put more value when they cater a Hideaway over a Domino's, because they know Hideaway's more expensive, and they feel like then the employer values them more because they bought something that was a little more pricier. And they felt like, the employer valued them more.
But they could have gone the cheap route, but they went the better quality route.
Correct.
Right.
I like that. So I've got a question. We've been talking about business here and Hideaway, but I'm curious, what was it that led you down this path to being a CPA, essentially an accountant,
Yes.
going into starting your own business, and then going into the corporate world as a controller, and now being the CFO of Hideaway? How did that, I guess, what life experience caused you to want to go that route, or how did you end up from there to here?
Yeah. My father's always been an entrepreneur.
Okay.
As well. So, he's had janitorial businesses, and he now does homeopathic for the Amish community, stuff like that. So I've always been, business has always been a passion of mine. I've always been kind of an entrepreneurial type spirit. I do think there's two different types of individuals out there. You have those that I think function really good in the corporate world, where they're happy. It's kind of more of a manufacturing environment where they're happy doing I guess, a set number of tasks that they can focus on. For me, I'm kind of ADD, so if I had to do accounting in debits and credits 24/7, I would be extremely bored. So for me, Hideaway still allows me to be somewhat of an entrepreneurial type spirit, even though it's in a corporate setting. Like I said, HR, IT report to me, so it helps break up some of the monotony of day to day.
Right.
How do you guys ensure that there's some consistency across all the locations? Training would be a great implementation of being able to do that, right? But then you also have like food quality and everything else too, right? And deliverable time to the table and
yeah. So all that's in our training when we're training our management teams, what an acceptable level of service is, for sure. For us, when it comes to inventoriable items, as far as, if we're going to switch from one cheese stick to another, that's really done at the business office level. We, if we're going to make any changes to our menu mix, we want to make sure it's an improvement so that it's more tastier than the previous item we had. When it comes to customer service, we have key performance indicators we look at. So some of our key performance indicators on the front of house would be like server tips. If the service isn't good, then the customer's usually not going to tip a lot. So some things like that we grade on our front of house. Our back of house is going to be timing. So if we're running 30 minutes from place the order being placed till the final to the table, are they hitting that 30 minutes or are they going 40? We want to make sure back of house is all speed and accuracy, because it does get complex. One thing that our customers like to do, and we allow it, is a lot of substitutions. And so, making sure that it is prepared correctly the first time. And it's
no red tickets.
In our case, it's yellow. In our case, it's yellow tickets. So that's what we try to aim that. When we quote times, that we're meeting those times quoted as well.
So with Hideaway being in multiple states, multiple cities, not every city is the exact same, and not all the audiences are the same.
Correct.
What kind of hurdles have you been approached by expanding into a particular city and been like, oh, well, this is new. I didn't know that Arkansas or Kansas or Texas or whatever it is like this, and now you have to adapt.
Yeah, for instance, one of our locations in Arkansas, Conway, is in a dry county, which created some legality issues.
Yeah, why'd you do that for?
And Arkansas is just...
we thought Oklahoma
different.
Was backwards,
Yeah.
and Arkansas is definitely even more difficult than Oklahoma.
Yeah. One of our terminals is out in Rogers, and it's crazy.
Yeah, so...
Is it the people or just the geography or what? Or both?
The government.
Oh, okay.
The people. It's
I guess you want to take it back to the
Yeah,
there's policies and just like intrastate commerce going over there and everything. I don't know if you guys ship directly from your suppliers or if you guys ship from Hideaway to Hideaway or how you guys do it.
our suppliers
Just go out there and
handle that for
that's
us.
so much easier.
Yeah.
It's a lot less work.
But so yeah, we had to create a separate legal entity for that. So there was definitely a lot more hoops to jump through. They all have, Arkansas's minimum wage is different. Even the age requirements on who can serve the guest is different as well. So Arkansas, you have to be older to wait tables than you do in Oklahoma.
What is that, 16 versus 18? Or
Yes.
Really? Because I know you have to be 18, or at least last I knew, 18 in Oklahoma in order to just serve the alcohol, like as a license. It's under a food handler's permit, right? You can be 16, but you supposedly you can't deliver alcohol to the table. Somebody 18 or plus has to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
So you'll get, it's usually, most of our issues are usually around the alcohol side. But there is some differences in labor as well. We have to pay a little bit more in wages in Arkansas than we do in Oklahoma.
Is technology important?
It's extremely important for sure.
What kind of technologies do you guys, or have you had to put into place in order to continue to grow, like POS systems or online ordering or a mobile app or?
Yeah, so pretty much all the above. So I had to help implement online ordering. Before then, it was strictly phone orders that we accepted as far as to go and dine in. I helped us integrate online ordering at the time to the point where COVID kind of expedited our curbside. So I was involved in helping implement the curbside as well. So it's for us, we feel like our curbside is very efficient. You can go online, place your order. You park in one of our designated parking spots. The support staff will go out there, verify.
You don't even have to get out of your car.
You don't. They'll verify your name, make sure the order's exactly how you placed it, and bring you your food. It's a very streamlined process. And actually, COVID, I think, kind of helped us generate a new customer out of it.
Quick Trip does that. You can just pull up to your gas pump and start pumping gas, and if you order on the app ahead of time, they'll bring it out to the pump.
Mm-hmm. What?
Yeah.
You ever done that?
Boy, Chester out here making moves.
And then what you do
when it's raining.
whenever you check in back there in the kitchen, I did this once by accident. I walked in. I didn't check in when I was out the pump.
Yeah.
I walked in there and I clicked check in and I saw the beep, or whatever. It was like customers here, and it was like this red light on the screen or whatever. Pretty much, it was like get the food and get it out there, right? Because if it's just sitting in a warmer or whatever, chances are it's not going to be as fresh as it would be as as soon as they check in, that food better be ready. Take it out, right?
Yes, yeah, and that that's why timing is extremely important for us in the back of house. When we say please arrive in 30 minutes, we want the food ready,
and fresh, and then get it out. That way you guys can get to the next one.
Yes, exactly.
Turn and burn.
I got one quick question. How many ovens do you guys have in the kitchen?
It depends on the locations. Our larger ones have 3 ovens. So.
Those ovens can get pretty big, so they can handle multiple pizzas.
Yeah,
like a dozen per oven.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wild.
Yeah.
Imagine pumping out 30-some pizzas
every 30 minutes.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
and knowing whose pizza's whose and which one's what toppings and which one's gluten free and like you really have to be on the ball to be like the back of house type of stuff, especially
for
pizza. I mean, even I don't know, any restaurant, like you really have to have some sharp people, or back of house management. Right, whoever the lead person is on managing, not Expo, because Expo is more, they're kind of back of house, but they manage the orders coming out before they get out to the customers. Right?
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
What kind of a community involvement have you guys done in the past, or what are you looking to do in the future? Like, how does Hideaway stay involved in the community?
Yeah, we will do things when there's. Several years ago when there was a tornadic activity there in Norman, we would help feed the first responders, stuff like that. So we tried to do things like that to give back to the communities. We do usually at the end of every school year, we'll partner with a couple of the schools and provide lunch for the day.
That's so cool. Yeah. I know a lot of those kids, like, they just don't eat lunch because their parents didn't put money in their lunch account, or their parents don't have the money or whatever. Like, little things like that can really make a big impact.
Yeah.
And especially in the community engagement part. And that's the cool thing too about what you did with Norman, what you guys did when the tornado came by and you guys helped provide pizzas. I think you told me about that a time before too.
Yeah. Community
engagement is so important. I think there was a heating and cooling company that put on a gala benefiting the little lighthouse, and they've fronted everything on the planning and the strategy and stuff, and brought together other sponsorships and other businesses and such. And that was a cool thing to be a part of for a couple of years when they did that. What do you guys do on the customer loyalty side? Do you guys have like a loyalty program, or how do you keep customers coming back to the restaurant and not just being like, I'll just go get Domino's for convenience?
At the beginning, good pizza.
Right.
That's all you need. Good pizza.
We haven't really implemented anything related to a loyalty program. Once again, our guests come back because we provide them with a level of expectation that we try to meet, and that is quality food, quality of guest experience. With our wait staff. So
less of the thoughts of like, what strategies can we put into place, like points or stars or cash back or whatever. Less of that and more of the, let's give them the best experience to where they have no choice but to desire to come back.
Yeah, even though our pizza might be a little bit more pricey compared to maybe a competitor like a Domino's, we are providing a level of service that you can expect and count on every time. And that's some of our standardization is every time the guests get, every time we have a returning guest, they can expect a certain level of service performance on our part. And we are very careful that and train our staff on what those expectations are. We have found on the loyalty side, it gets back into the discounting. And we just we just don't feel like we have to discount our product.
Yeah, here's $1 off if.
Yeah, even though you might be paying a little more, it shows though. I mean, you still, our costs are still similar to other pizzerias like Domino's. So that's why it's extremely important that we put the right amount of toppings on and stuff, because our guests are paying for that. And so, I still think, the price for what you're getting on a pie is still very competitive.
This is going to be a 2-part question and potentially our last, unless you guys got more. The first part of this is, with the amount of experience, with the years of experience that you have, is there anything that comes to mind where you're like, I wish people that have worked or do work underneath me knew this? And that would be a tough question. The second part of that would be directly to the person that wants to start a business or is running a small business.
Okay.
And that could be an open deal, because like you can talk about finance. There could be something about, there's something comes to mind about managing people, right, or product, or the customer loyalty thing. Like, there's a lot to manage in all this. Even as a CFO, like,
right,
you don't just have one task job to where you're doing debits and credits.
Yeah,
right. Like, you have a lot of people that you're working with to try to coordinate. The C-level roles are a lot to work with.
So I think on the first question is, when I'm in a business setting, I'm a little bit more of a serious individual, so I'm trying to do what I can to, help make Hideaway profitable and from that standpoint. So it's always nice seeing the staff outside of the work environment for me. It allows me to kind of bond and cut up with them and let them see I'm just a normal person. I enjoy comedy and sports.
Like, this guy is a real person. He's not a robot.
that was my Tuesday, right? I was out till midnight with the guys. Like, we're just at the shop hanging out. But again, there's a certain role you have to take as a C-suite executive or whoever. But like you said, sometimes it's really nice for them to see you and that, hey, I like to chill too. You know, I have to set this example most of the time.
Right.
You have to do
in
some
the business
business.
setting,
Yeah.
I need to be a little more professional.
Right,
And then when you meet me in the casual setting, I think I can be fun to hang out with.
You like to play. You used to like to play Rocket League.
That's
a
like
prime
playing
example.
Rocket League. And
Rocket League's
then,
fun, man.
one of our marketing staff person, he is very big into Fortnite, so I've been playing a lot of Fortnite lately.
Nice.
So, yeah, I'm still terrible at it, both.
It's okay. I've been playing for 4 years, and I'm still getting my butt whooped. You'd think
By
I'd be a
your
pro by
sons.
now. Yeah. No, I made one of my sons cry the other day.
Oh.
I know.
It's good for them. Don't.
It is
aw.
good for 'em.
Right, it builds character.
Come on.
It builds character. He's like, okay, here's what happens. This is totally off topic, but one of my boys will do this. We'll be playing, and I had to bargain with him last week to play with me.
Oh, man.
I know. I had to be
getting
like,
to
hey,
that
listen,
age.
you don't have to do dishes if you play 5 Fortnite games with me.
Okay.
And so I was like,
What?
okay. And so he played the 5, and he was counting down after every game. Okay. And he's like, I don't have to do dishes now. I was like, no. He's like, I can get off, but you have to go to bed because it's 8:30. So this is something else too. He'll be like, Dad, will you play? And I'm like, yeah, like let's play for a little bit.
But you got to do the dishes first.
No, so this is different. Yeah, right. But no, he's like, we'll play a couple games, and then 2 games in, he'll be like, I'm done, and I'm gonna go ahead and get off. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go do dishes or whatever it is, and I'll find out. I'm like, oh, you're not done. You're playing with your friends now. You just don't want to play with me and make me feel bad. I'll find you 20 minutes later. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, you're playing with your friends. Okay, you didn't want to play with me. You could just say that, but
You were holding him back.
yeah, I was like, I'm sorry.
dubs.
I'm over here holding you back from dubs. And he loves to flaunt. He'll come around the house and be like, Dad, I got 3 dubs today. And I'm like, nice. Without me?
That's funny.
Yeah.
It is cool, man. It's cool to like, again, be able to try to relate with your team and stuff like that in different ways. So it's like, we're not all robots. Like there's times to do business and there's time to play.
Right.
Yeah, it's nice. A few weeks ago, we entered into an indoor soccer league for our staff.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So,
So is that oh, man, I guess we're dead over there.
No.
So indoor soccer league, is that open up to anybody in the Hideaway brand, or is that set up for certain stores? How did you
no,
guys decide?
anybody within the Hideaway brand. So,
that's awesome.
But the games are here in Tulsa, so it's mainly just going to be local
Okay. Yeah,
employees. But we have a good turnout and it's co-ed, so we have a good turnout of male and females playing. So it's neat to watch.
You know, I've found we don't have a team quite as big as you guys, but I found that kind of you touched on the topic that, you know, we've been talking about the Hideaway story and so on and so forth, but you touched on a topic of I feel like a lot of people don't understand. You mentioned earlier how we like to sometimes get off topic and just show people that, hey, we're just people, right? This is the good, this is the bad. And it's funny because when I think of in our business, the great times that I've had at work, it's always like some crazy. We went to the river last year. Man, that was a blast.
Right.
There was no work done that day at all. You know, we had a blast. It was a great time afterwards, and now we're planning another trip here at the end of this year. We're gonna be going to a Drillers game, and it's like, yeah, running a business is fun and doing all that stuff, but it's really, you get to surround yourself with people that you actually end up falling in love with. You know, these are your family. These are your people that, yeah, I understand that I'm the boss. I got to run the show, but at the end of the day, it's people that you generally just build a beautiful connection with.
Yeah, we take our general managers on an annual trip to the Caribbean every January,
That's
and we
awesome.
allow them to bring their significant other or plus one with them. So usually equates to about a week long there on one of the islands, and it allows us, we play beach volleyball and water volleyball and hang out and eat dinner together. So it definitely helps create that bond and that friendship as well.
What's your favorite pizza?
Mine, I like the Pollinator.
What's on it?
So it has, for me, I'm a sweet tooth, so it has honey. So anything with honey on it is golden. So it has pepperoni, honey, capicola on there. It also has banana peppers as well, so it kind of gives it a sweet.
Have you guys ever put honey on a pizza?
No.
Okay, I made a flatbread. I made a flatbread at home last week, and it had chicken, tomatoes, and a couple other things and feta cheese. And the recipe called for honey. So I drizzled some honey on top, threw it in the oven at 450 for like 15 minutes or whatever it was. And I was like, honey on a pizza with like a little bit of spice. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, well, we're going to be changing our honey to kind of a spicier honey. So it'll be intriguing to see what the customer feedback is on that.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, it'd be more on the podcast. So what got you guys what's your reasoning for starting a podcast? I know you've had, 20 episodes or something like that?
21.
21? Yeah.
21.
21? 21?
This guy, really.
Yeah.
That was the whole reason he came up with an idea, and we just built a friendship over the last couple of years, and it's kind of like therapy. It's a good time. You get to talk to people. You get to be,
you get to meet people.
Right. And networking is, I feel like, something that I took on as a big part of my personal development over the last few years. And I've been kind of looking for avenues that I liked networking. And I realized that networking events, while they're great, most of the time aren't really that good. You don't get that personal one-on-one time with anybody.
Yeah.
And this is great because, we get just literally one-on-one time. We can hear all about the story, and not only that, most of the time right after the podcast. The podcast might be over, but the conversation's not. So it's a great. It's just great. It started off as just Braden had an idea, and it was kind of fun, and then after a while, you're just like, it's kind of one of those things we look forward to every 2 weeks. Yeah, right.
Cool.
Just the networking, the experience, and the exposure. That's what I enjoy from it.
Yeah.
Meeting new people, understanding people's viewpoints on different things. That's what I enjoy.
Okay.
So I believe that the whole point of Brews in Business is to shed light on all the different things that go into business. We've had plenty of conversations from accounting, finance, HR, law, health insurance, family,
social media.
We've had so many different conversations. And so like with anybody that is either the business owner and going into business or have been in business, there's still so much to learn. And even if they're not a business owner or going into business themselves, there's still a lot of professionals, such as like people in roles like yourself, that still have a lot of development or still have things to learn that we can help shed light or bring those conversations to the table. And so it's to help to create like an environment to where if we were sitting down together at a table in a coffee shop having a conversation, and someone was a fly on the wall, they would be able to listen in on those conversations, but at scale, right? So instead of us meeting with, for example, instead of someone in health insurance or HR meeting with that business owner over and over and over and over again, or different people, we're able to bring that person in their space to be able to shed light on what should these people know about what to expect or what's going on, to bring in some stories and conversations to where they can learn and go, okay, well, this is how that works. Maybe one of our episodes would benefit you to where maybe there's something relative in finance where you're like, oh, I didn't know that's how that worked. Right? Like it doesn't have to necessarily be just for business owners. Like this whole conversation is about business, right? But you're in business, technically, right? Even in your role, you don't have to be an owner, but it's to kind of like, again, bring that understanding of here's all the different things that go on in business that people just need to just have some conversations about and be open and kind of be like, oh, this is how so-and-so's doing it. Okay, cool. Maybe they can benefit from example or, wow, I don't want to wind up like this guy, whoever this guy is, and he failed, or this is how he failed. And this was the hurdle and the struggle. And this is how, he or she overcame it. Right. And that's one of the things I think is just so cool about like the Brews in Business podcast is to kind of bring in different professionals in different spaces with different levels from someone that is just a two-person business to people who run multi-million-dollar companies, or a part of those organizations. They can kind of step in and go, well, this is how we run things, or this is how we can provide other people like this. Or just there's so much that goes into it. It's cool. I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm. It's a more real view at being a business owner.
And that was the other thing too. You're talking about therapy. You're like, we want to talk about some shit.
We do. And that's what the biggest thing is. I think from the beginning of the podcast, our biggest thing was we want to be vulnerable. A lot of people have this idea that business is great, and it is, but there's a long time when it's not.
Sometimes,
there's a lot of not fun work and little spurts of fun, and the reality is that because of social media, there's a lot of that fake influence out there that, hey, you can, start a business, you'll be making $1 million tomorrow. Right. And it's like that doesn't work that way.
Like, you're going to make $1 million, but do you know how much your expenses are?
Right.
You'll make $1 million to spend too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
you're going to spend $1.5 million, and now what?
Yep. So, like I said, it's just a more real view at what being a business owner is like, from losing that special employee that meant, that carried your company, to not being able to make payroll this week or whatever, to, hey, I hit it big this week. And I did, I hit that home run that never happens or whatever. And again, I think it's just being vulnerable and being open to everyone of the realities of being a business. I mean, it's, man, again.
3 times.
It's a new camera.
Yeah, we're testing the camera.
What a great one to test it on.
Yeah, right.
We ran it for 36 and a half minutes.
Man.
It was just fine.
But yeah.
But now it can't make it past 10.
I do.
Stupid.
I do.
You were bragging about that camera earlier.
It's a great camera.
It is a great camera.
Great one at turning off.
It works. What's that?
I wonder if it's getting too hot.
You remember that?
If you put a cage on it, it's going to only get worse.
That was that cologne commercial or whatever. It's on a movie. It's like, what is it? Panther Paw or something. Works 60% of the time, 100% of the time, or something like that.
It works half the time, all the time.
Exactly. You know what to expect,
right?
But yeah, I mean, it was a great podcast, honestly, and having you on was great.
Yes.
Enjoyed myself.
It's great to meet you as well.
Yeah, it's great to meet you, and it's good to. We talk about it all the time, that we got to have our training in order to be able to scale our businesses the way we want to.
Yeah.
And it's so fun to hear from someone at a scalable business. You guys are at that point. You're scaling one store a year. That's huge.
It is.
Now going from 1 to 4, you gotta, like you said, you gotta be prepared. And I think that's for us on the lower end of things. It's so powerful to be able to hear from you, like, hey, honestly, you could be in 15 stores, but guess what? You're still going to be working on your training. Right. You're still going to be working on honing in and moving all this stuff. And it just goes to prove, like, you're never done building your business. You're never done with your business. It's constantly evolving, constantly moving, and
constantly changing.
Yeah.
Someone was like, can we just fly the plane and enjoy the ride? I'm like, no. I was like, the wing's going to pop off. We're going to have the engine go out. We're going to have a tail with this. And no, it was like, we're going to repair it as we're flying.
You're always going to have competitors entering the space. COVID, a lot of people never predicted that. And for us, we we're able to create a new customer in our curbside service. So, yeah, it's always changing. That's one thing I like about the restaurant. It never gets boring, for sure.
So give me a shout out with Hideaway. I can order online. I can call in. You have 26 locations? 22 locations in Oklahoma, Arkansas,
and soon to be Texas.
And soon to be Texas. Yeah. Kansas?
No,
not yet.
We've been looking. We just haven't found the right spot yet.
Gotcha. Oklahoma City, Tulsa, right? Fort Smith, Fayetteville, Stillwater.
No Fayetteville. Fort Smith, Conway, in Little Rock in Arkansas.
Cool. So if you guys like pizza, place an order. If you're in one of those areas.
We're getting close to the Northwest Corridor in Arkansas.
Nice.
It's a little too early to say where.
Hopefully next year, right?
That's
one of those new
plan.
4.
Actually, it's the game plan. Towards the end of next year, we're supposed to be in the Northwest Corridor of Arkansas.
Awesome.
And Texas.
And Dallas, Texas at the end of this year. And we'll have 3 locations in Dallas by the end of next year as well.
Wow.
Like Quick Trip and Browns both going south too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. Brahms is going down too?
Yeah.
I heard
I didn't know that. Huh. Interesting.
They're trying to go as far as they can, truck their trucks in one day. If they can get there in one day, they'll go as far as that location or whatever.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is 8 hours.
Logistics.
So they could go all the way to almost Houston.
Good luck getting a truck in Houston in 8 hours.
I know. I was thinking that.
Yeah.
From here, yeah, good luck. I've done it. But
Houston, 12 hours?
The fastest I've ever been able to do it was like 7 hours and 55 minutes, and I was booking it.
But you're talking a truck.
Yeah, I wasn't driving a semi either.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
And then they
Semi's
have
different.
rest. Yeah, and then the rest breaks. I'm
Yeah,
not sure what the transportation industry's rest breaks are.
You're allowed 11 hours, but you have to have a 30-minute break in the first 8 hours.
Seedy old laws. Man.
Stupid
I don't
government,
get
man,
them.
come on.
Whatever. It's a good thing I'm not a trucker.
Right.
All right. Well, Tim, we appreciate you being on today, being our guest. We've learned a lot too, and I'm getting hungry.
Right.
I'm getting hungry too.
Yeah. Well, it's like we just ate some tacos for Cinco de Mayo, and now I'm like, it's time for a pizza.
Time for a pie for dinner.
It's a Mexican pie.
Yep.
I don't know if
No.
I don't know what that is.
You can
What
do a
if it was
margarita pizza, or
I guess
that's more like
margarita pizza.
Italian.
What if it's just like a tortilla with like rice, beans? It was like a flat burrito.
It's
Dude,
called a
that's just
burrito.
fucking tostada.
There you go. There's a Mexican pizza. I was wondering if you were going to call that out.
I don't know if I call that a Mexican pizza, but okay. We'll let it slide on your holiday today. I literally walked in and what did I say? Oh, everybody but the Mexicans celebrating the holiday today. Okay. It's just the way it goes. It's all right. We love you guys anyways.
Thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Braden Cruz with Sooner Marketing Solutions, streaming live at the Blue Studio, here to create marketing solutions that deliver sooner results.
Abel with ARC Outdoorsman, where we are creating and maintaining your outdoor living.
Chance with Threaded Industries, doing legendary drops for legendary heroes.
Do you have one?
Tim Anderson with Hideaway Pizza. We'll customize your pizza however you would like.
Like it.
Like it.
Extra toppings.